Greetings and salutations. Welcome to another episode of Not a Linux Guru Guide channel. And today we're going to be looking at another OS in our series for new user Linux reviews. And the series one we're going to look at today is Pop! OS. Yes, sir, Pop! OS. It's one that's often touted as a good distro for new users. It's fairly popular. I don't know what it is on the Distro Watch channel or website, but yeah, it's pretty popular OS. We'll take a look at today how it stacks up against the others for new users. So on the other side, intro. We're ready to dig in on our distro review for the day, but before we start on that, there's two things I need to tell you about the installation on System 76's Pop! OS. Ubuntu-based distribution that stable based on long-term support version of Ubuntu. So 20.04 I think is currently what it is. So first thing I need to tell you about Pop! OS's installations, it went smooth as a whistle. It's all right out of the box, pretty easy, and without any problems or difficulties. So that was good. It worked in that regard pretty well. The other thing I need to tell you about Pop! OS's installation is that it's a little bit different in that the users put in after you install it. When you reboot it back up to get in the system, then it gives you user information like Rick, Koppel, Rick, Lenovo, all that kind of stuff. And why does it do that? You probably know if you figure it out, think about it. So this OS is designed to be installed on a system that the user gets pre-installed on their computer. So why don't we go over to the website and check it out real quick. Yeah, so you see the website here, Pop! OS. System 76, they have laptops, desktops that have all this Pop! OS installed right on them already when you get it. So if you're not comfortable installing software, this is the system for you. Now, they're a little bit pricey, but might be worth it for you. There is also Pinebook Pro that you can get that's like that. It has Manjaro installed, which we've just reviewed. And yeah, so you can do that if you want to. It's pre-installed, but because it's pre-installed, the system, the Pop! OS operating system, OS, is designed to boot up into it, and then that's when the user sets their username, because of course wouldn't do any good for it to be put in right when you're installing it, which it's already installed when they get it. So yeah, so that's the reason why they have it, the user set up all the user stuff when it reboots in the system itself. So but yeah, this is a website. It's nice looking. It's got a download button right here. You also support Pop! OS if you want to. But anyway, yeah, click on this download button. It goes right to the download page, I think. It goes right here. There's only two options you have. One is download 20.10. They all both have the same graphic desktop environment on them, which is GNOME, or a version of it, or some kind of version of it. But this one you can download the NVIDIA. That contains NVIDIA GPU systems cards. If you have an NVIDIA card, this is one you want. If you don't need it. Download just a regular one then. So yeah, so that's one I downloaded. This is the only option really. There's your SHA 256 number you can check out. You can copy this into text editor as I usually do, and then I copy the one from the terminal or wherever I run it. and then paste them and compare them. I just eyeball it mainly and make sure. There's ways you can do it where you can have a run through file, but that's too much work for me, I think. It's easier just to pop them in next to each other and scan down it with your eyes and see if there's any differences in it. Yeah, so that's mainly in case you're wondering. For people that don't know, that number is given those. They give those numbers so that you can that you can verify that the file didn't get corrupted when you downloaded it, which can happen on occasion. It's the main thing you want to check for, I think. But also in case somebody's somehow messed with it or changed it or something in the process or something like that, you can catch that as well. So that's really all you got here. It's just this little section here on this website. So it's about time for us to go check out the Pop! OS installed on my computer. And here we are on our Pop! OS desktop on the computer I installed it on. It has a nice retro looking background wallpaper there, and it's kind of appealing in its own peculiar sort of way. But I probably would, go with a different wallpaper myself, but it has its own appeal, kind of retro-ish type style. Now, Pop! OS is an Ubuntu-based distribution, so it has app manager and all that kind of stuff. We're going to try and do everything GUI style. See how GUI friendly it is, how user friendly it is for new users out of the box for Windows. So, interesting thing is this is also a tiling manager version of its GNOME boxes. I'm not particularly fond of GNOME desktop myself. However, it's interesting because you can set it to you hit Super T to open up a terminal, Super key and your Windows key, and it opens up like that. And you do it again, opens up that. Do it again, opens up that. It's kind of like Monad Tall, except as you get down here, it starts cutting it in half the other way. Vertically, you go in that way. So, yeah, pretty cool, isn't it? And then Super Q will quit Windows. Now, the interesting thing I've noticed about this is that it uses the Mutter Desktop Window Manager, Mutter Windows Manager. You can see right there. The interesting thing about that is that same window manager that the Muffin, it's kind of code name, sort of. I'm not sure the difference. Maybe a slightly different version of Mutter is Muffin. Anyway, it's kind of same window manager that Cinnamon uses desktop on this deal. About 1.5, a little over 1.5 gigabytes of data that it uses in the memory out of my 16 gigs on here. Obviously, whatever the GNOME desktop is using that's how much memory it's sucking up out of this puppy. I'm not real fond of this, but yeah. So Super Y is what you use to switch between regular floating Windows desktop, or you can go to tiling Windows desktop, whichever one you prefer. So beyond that, I'm not sure how much more modifications you can do to it without digging into it further and looking at it more. But yeah, I noticed that out of the box. I said, wow, this is out of the box. No special configuration needed. Just Super Y will switch it from floating windows to tiling windows, which is pretty cool, I think, actually. This doesn't really have anything to do much with our review of this, other than it's cool. So I wanted to show it to you before we got started on showing what Pop! OS has on it. Alrighty, let's look at this. Now what you do if you want to get the GUI stuff, you click Activities here. You get Firefox out of the box. Get Files, which is just the, I think it's Nautilus, if I remember correctly. Get a GNOME terminal. And get the Pop Shop. Pop Shop is kind of like a app store for Pop OS. If you want to see the rest of it, this is what comes all pre-installed on it. Not much, but you have all these things here. You got system file grouping, you got office file grouping, which basically just has LibreOffice stuff in it. Yeah, utilities. And other than that, you have these individual. I just installed this. It's about the only thing I installed on here was OBS, so I could do this video. And it's got weather, calculator, calendar, contacts, and Geary's the email. This is what I was thinking about last time. Geary's email version client that has on it, which is not too bad. It's decent. A little dated, but decent. And you got terminal and text editor and your utilities over here. So you got document viewer, image viewer, text info, extensions, archive manager, character map, USB flasher, and Eddy. So I think it checks off most of our things. The only thing I haven't seen is a music player. I also got VLC, which can play music, but I was thinking of real music player type thing. And I don't see things. Now what you have to do, if you want to see the settings, for the settings section, you have to go to settings right over here. It goes to a KDE style setting manager. Say KDE style because that's the first place I encountered it. You see a printer right here, which I had to install. It showed the first one. I tested it. It didn't print anything. So that's one. The top one's the one that automatically installs right here. Added the second one on, which is pretty easy to do. Out of the box, it just went through the process. And they found the driver for it, driverless, whatever. But it printed out the test page when I printed it out, so it worked pretty good. Then I have to do a lot of configuration. Let's get a high score for that, probably 9 or 8, something like that, for the printer section. Anyway, you got all your Bluetooth network, your theming appearances here. Now, appearances, this is where you do your wallpapers over here. You can see all the selections you got. You got this one, gives you a preview of what you're going to get. So you don't have to moving your window around trying to see what you're doing. And all sorts of weird, interesting things. And I like something like, oh yeah, here we go. Kind of like the version of the Fedora wallpapers. Yeah, so you got all those backgrounds. And then you got notifications, screen, applications, your privacy settings. That's where you find your lock screen, I think. And here, activity checking, application services, Thunderbolt, your factory, your file history and trash, and your screen lock. That's where you find screen lock. If you want to know how to turn off your thing, you got to turn off on the Power Manager and the screen lock screen here in your privacy settings. That's where they locate it here. KDE locates it in the workspace behavior section. I haven't figured all these rationale they select these different things for, but yeah, that's what you got. And see, I have it set to no power to show it for anything, so I don't have to have it turned on. Displays, if you need to reset all, I didn't have to reset this set itself. Pretty all automatic, pretty much. But if you need to set your display resolution, you can go to that. That's where you do it at. Oh, appearance. You gotta go over here to appearances. Now this is the as far as I can tell by looking through this thing, this is the extent of your theming on Pop! OS. It's got two themes, basically light and dark. Whichever one, yeah, of course I prefer dark, but it's easier on my eyes. I get blinded by too much light and stuff, so yeah. So, but it came out of the box as dark, so that's why I just stuck with that. Yeah, it's only two themes, so you can't really theme it up much. It's already themed. You can just change the wallpaper. That's about all you can do. Unless they got other settings here I haven't found or came across yet. But it's kind of good for new users in a way without getting too fancified. Like KD can get in trouble with too much theming and that kind of thing. So yeah. So with that said, program availability. Now Pop Shop is pretty decent, I guess. Say over here, Pop Shop. You open up Pop Shop, it'll let you know if you need to upgrade anything. And you'll see the number up there in the corner. It says 2. That's what's installed. That's what needs to be upgraded. So if you go to install, it'll probably have more information there. Yeah, there's 2 upgrades. There's a total of 15 updates. There's 14 system updates and 1 Firefox update. When it says 2, it tricks you a little bit. I remember that because one time it said I only had like 6 upgrades, but one of them was system upgrade, which had like 215 upgrades in it. So, well, this is taking a while, longer than I expected. Anyway, yeah, I'm not sure why they do it that way, but they do. So when you have an update, it'll probably notify you. If not, you just go into your system Pop OS. And you come up here and you hit upgrade all. And you go to install and hit upgrade. Oh, it'll upgrade it. Just like this. Sweet, huh? Yeah. And remember, it does pretty good on all the updates. Downloaded the system updates, 14 installing them now. So, yeah, that's how that works. Just wanted to lay it. Yeah, for some reason Pop Shop, but anyway, yeah, it's nice. It's nice installer, and it works pretty well from what I've been able to tell. Of course, you can go to terminal if you so desire, if you have the inclination to do so, and install things through apt get or apt sudo apt install whatever program like OBS or Dash Studio or whatever you want to install. GNU cache installed that way. Setup printer, I already discussed that. Keyboard shop setups. Now, yeah, it's had some keyboard things in here, I believe. To the keyboard. Of course, that's in the settings here, keyboards. Then I hear customize shortcuts. You can have certain things. You can set your keyboard stuff here. But yeah, you can customize your shortcuts here. Like if I wanted to put in, yeah, navigation, applications and windows, move, resize and swap windows, launchers, accessibility. So like, but if I wanted to put in tiling, you can set your tiling shortcuts here if you wanted to do that. Typing, windows, custom shortcuts. Yeah, I have LibreOffice Writer already shortcutted to Shift Control W. And it works pretty good, dude. There she blows. So, yeah. So that's how you do shortcuts, and it's pretty easy. It's pretty standard, pretty good. And so far as I've been able to tell, they all seem to work pretty well. So we're good to go there. Okay. Now we already looked at themes and wallpapers and updating. Pretty cool overall. Also, I'll show you that. I don't know if I showed you this thing up here. It's your window tiling thing. And you turn tile windows on and off here. Photo windows, section shortcuts, launcher, navigate windows, super arrow key, toggle tiling, super Y, and show window tiles is on, and show active hint, color. And so even how much gaps you want between your windows tiles. So it's got plenty of options set there. So nice program overall. A little restrictive on themes, but for more advanced users that might be a little limiting of a function, especially if you're used to having your desktop look a certain way, everything themed out a certain way you like to have it look. I could live with this here pretty well. As far as theming goes, I could live with that pretty easy. So, yeah. Who knows, maybe I might install Pop! OS. One thing I like about it is a little bit restricted, but it does have GDebi on it, I believe. It also has terminal, which can do this. Home terminal, which I'm used to, and GDebi. Doesn't have GDebi installed by default. You'd have to install GDebi if you wanted to install it. Which, but yeah, you can install pretty much most everything that you can install otherwise. The sudo apt or sudo apt-get and all the programs you need for that. And there's probably some that aren't in the Ubuntu and Pop! OS repositories that you might need to figure out where to get them from. But yeah, its availability is pretty decent, I think, on it. Not exceptional. Not as good as what you can get with Linux Mint or any of those, so I'll probably get the same grade I gave those overall. So that's Pop! OS. Now let's go to the spreadsheet and check that out. Okay, here we are in our spreadsheet to check out Pop! OS with GNOME on it. On the website navigation is easy enough to find what we wanted and get the ISO file downloaded. That's 10. Installation went well, so it was a 10. So well I didn't have to show it to you. Show you any problems with it. It worked pretty well. Now the guided tour is another issue. When I came into the system, rebooted in the system first time through, it had two questions it asked me. So when I came back, rebooted into the system after installing it, it set up the user. That was one thing. Then it asked me if I wanted to set up any of my accounts with various entities like Facebook and Google and those kind of things. And then it went straight to the system and it gave me the screen, which is fine for me, but for a new user who maybe is looking for some guidance on what to go and what to do next, might be not be the best option for them. So yeah, so I gave it a 4 on the guided tour. It did have a couple of things, but it didn't really do much with that part of it, at least as it came out of mine. Now on this, had a web browser, Firefox. It had an email client, Geary. It had a file manager, but it didn't seem as fully functional as what I'm used to. So I gave it a 1. And it had a word processor, which is the LibreOffice suite. And I'm going to go ahead and add this to a 1 because it did have a video player in it, although it didn't have any kind of music player at all. The video player, I'm not sure. I didn't get tested out, so I don't know how well it worked. So then on the program availability, I gave it the same, since it's basically the same thing as Linux Mint as far as its repository, save for differences, whatever they are, between Linux Mint's repository and Pop! OS's repository. Both are based on Ubuntu and Debian, so I got all the same stuff, so I gave it 9. It didn't have GDebian installed on it, though, so I should have probably marked it down to an 8 or something like that. Maybe I should do that, huh? Didn't have GDebian installed on it, so you can't. You'd have to like either, but I didn't try to install anything on it, third-party applications either, so I don't know how that worked. That worked just fine. I'll leave it at 9 for now. About the same as Linux Mint. And then setting up the printer, that was pretty easy, at least easier than Manjaro by a long shot. But yeah, it came up, it automatically showed the printer like all these did. But it didn't print the first time I tried to print from it. I had to go back in and run and add the printer in manually, but it worked that time, so that's why I throw it down 2 points, minus 2 points. Themes and wallpapers, I had a lot of wallpapers. One of them I liked for well. And theming, though, has only got two themes on it, light and dark. So there's not much theming you can do on it. So that's why it's 7. Then I got the shortcuts, so back switch, same number for shortcuts and themes and wallpapers. The shortcuts anyway, yeah, it's good in the sense that they're all in one place pretty much. You have a lot of options there, but it still only has one slot for each one. I think Linux Cinnamon Desktop's the only one I've seen so far that has more than one slot for keyboard shortcuts. I don't think I've seen any other that does that. So anyways, if you get Cinnamon, you got that benefit to it. Did have Nemo File Manager on here. That gives a big plus for me. And so then 10, we have the updates. Updating is simple enough, as long as you get into the program and it works. Pop shop. And the ease of menu and activating program. Now I'm not a big fan of GNOME, but it is easy enough usually to find what you want by doing the search function. Without having to, I don't like browsing where I gotta click to browse around on there. So that's why I have my Linux Mint set down where I just hover over it and it pops up the menu automatically. Yeah, you don't have to sit there and do all that stuff. So yeah, ease of menu and activating programs is a 10, so that comes out to a total of 83 points. Compared to 85 for Manjaro, 86 for MX Linux, 87 for Elementary, and 95 for Linux Mint. So far, it's still the leader on this. We'll see what happens when we get the other ones. Next up is going to be Peppermint OS, which I don't have showing because I have a code. I hid the column so you wouldn't get confused. So I got it hidden right now, but I'll column I. Then we'll look at Ubuntu GNOME and Neptune OS, which is one I hadn't heard of before until just recently, and Windows. And that should finish out unless y'all have some more suggestions on what ones I should use that have been out as new user computers that you would like to have me review. I'm open for suggestions. Anyway, we'll work on this and we'll go back and chat a bit about it. So yeah, that was Pop! OS, which is a pretty cool system. I like the tiling feature of it especially, and because I kind of like that style of window managers. I really don't like to use tiling window managers because they seem so limiting to me. And yeah, my bad, I guess, but that's my experience so far with them. Is I learned just enough to kind of get my feet wet with them, and then I try to figure out how to do display, multi-monitor displays, stuff like that. I have to do research and I have to find out. Time I spent all my time learning about window managers, I could have got all my work done, but maybe someday I'll have some time to sit down and learn that stuff. Anyway, right now I just need to get stuff done, so. But I like tiling. I like the Pop! OS tiling thing. That's Pop! OS. I liked it a lot. I might even actually end up using it for all I know. I think I can handle the lack of theming on it, and with the background they had there, the wallpaper, the planet, the Earth, and night, it looked pretty. Or I could stick my own wallpapers on there if I wanted to. We'll look at it next time at Peppermint OS, which I barely got installed on my computer. I'll tell you more about that next time. Until then, may the Linux force be with you. Bye.